The orbital station ardent halo floated like a silver ring against the dim glow of a fading star. From a distance it looked peaceful, almost fragile, but inside it held thousands of lives from hundreds of worlds. Ships arrived and departed every hour, carrying traders, diplomats, explorers, and soldiers. It was one of the few places where enemies sat at the same table and tried to speak instead of fight. Commander Elias Hale walked through the main corridor with calm, steady steps. He did not rush, even though many beings around him moved quickly, speaking in strange languages or communicating through light pulses and scent waves. He had learned long ago that moving slowly made others less nervous. Humans were still new to the galactic community, and many species watched them carefully, unsure whether they were allies or future threats. Elias wore a simple dark uniform without decorations. Other ambassadors displayed glowing badges or ceremonial armor, but he preferred to look ordinary. His face was serious, but his eyes held quiet warmth. Those who knew him understood that he listened more than he spoke. He had just returned from a difficult negotiation between two rival mining colonies. The meeting had lasted 12 hours, and he felt the weight of it in his shoulders. Humans were often called to solve problems others could not, because they were willing to consider unusual solutions. Some admired that quality. Others found it suspicious. When he reached his living quarters, the corridor lights dimmed slightly as the station entered its evening cycle. He unlocked the door and stepped inside. The room was simple. A desk, a small sleeping platform, a window showing the distant star. No decorations except a small metal model of an old Earth spacecraft sitting on the shelf. Desk. He removed his jacket and sat at the desk, opening a holographic display filled with reports, trade disruptions, political tension, and warnings about unknown movements beyond the outer systems filled the screen. None of it felt simple. Something was changing in the galaxy, and many leaders seemed nervous without knowing exactly why. He leaned back, rubbing his eyes for a moment. Silence filled the room. Then the door opened. Elias turned immediately, alert but calm. The security lock should have prevented entry without permission, yet someone stepped inside as if they belonged there. She moved with confidence, tall and graceful. Her skin carried a faint metallic shimmer, a sign of her species, the Verethi, known across the galaxy as disciplined warriors and strict followers of protocol. Her dark eyes studied him carefully, and a small smile appeared on her lips. Without asking, she walked forward and took a seat close to him, far closer than most diplomats would ever sit. Elias watched her quietly. "You bypassed security?" he said in a calm tone. "Yes," she replied, her voice smooth and steady. "I wanted to speak without formal barriers." She leaned back slightly, crossing one leg over the other. Her posture was relaxed but confident, as if she was entirely comfortable breaking rules others respected. "I am Captain Lyra," she continued, representative of the Verethi coalition. Elias nodded slowly. He recognized the name. Lyra had a reputation as a brilliant strategist and a fearless leader. Many admired her. Some feared her. "What brings you here, Captain?" he asked. She studied him for a moment before answering. "Curiosity." He raised an eyebrow slightly. "I have watched humans," she said. "You confuse many of us. You are strong but avoid domination. You are emotional but make logical decisions. You lose often, yet return stronger. I wish to understand." Elias felt a small smile forming but kept his expression neutral. "Observation is usually done from a distance." "I dislike distance," she said simply. Silence followed for a few seconds. Outside the window, a cargo ship moved slowly across the stars. "You recently prevented a military escalation between the Krell and the Othari. Most species expected conflict. You chose cooperation instead. Why?" "Because war solves problems slowly," Elias replied, "and creates new ones quickly." Her eyes narrowed with interest. Your species speaks often about unity, yet history shows humans fought many wars among themselves. Yes, he said quietly. That is why we try to do better now. She seemed to consider his words carefully. The confident smile faded, replaced by thoughtful curiosity. I broke protocol to meet you, she admitted. My people will not approve. Then why risk it? Because something is coming, she said softly. The air in the room felt heavier. She activated a small device, projecting a star map into the air between them. Several systems glowed red. Trade routes failing, communication delays, unidentified signals. Many believe it is coincidence. I do not. Elias leaned forward, studying the data. You think there is a connection? I think someone is moving pieces quietly, she said. He nodded slowly. And you came to me because... Humans see patterns others ignore, she answered. You question traditions. My people follow them. He appreciated her honesty. They spoke for nearly an hour, analyzing information and discussing possibilities. Lyra challenged his ideas often, asking sharp questions that forced him to explain his reasoning. Instead of feeling attacked, he felt energized. It had been a long time since someone debated him without hidden political motives. At one point, she laughed softly at one of his observations, a warm sound that surprised him. The reputation of the Varethi suggested cold precision, not humor. You are not what I expected, she said. Neither are you, he replied. Eventually, she stood. I will return, she said, as if it were already decided. He nodded. The door usually requires permission. She smiled again. I will try to remember. After she left, Elias remained seated, staring at the empty chair. Something about her presence felt important, though he could not yet define why. The next day, the station felt different. Conversations stopped when he passed. Some diplomats watched him with curiosity, others with suspicion. News traveled quickly, and rumors spread faster. The Varethi rarely met privately with outsiders, especially humans. During a council session, Elias noticed several ambassadors glancing toward him and whispering. He ignored it, focusing on the discussion. Reports of unknown ships near the outer border caused rising concern. After the meeting, a senior official approached him. You have made an unusual friend, the official said carefully. Captain Lyra is a colleague, Elias replied. Be cautious, the official warned. Her people do not make casual alliances. Elias nodded politely but said nothing. Later that evening, as he returned to his quarters, he found Lyra waiting outside the door. You see, she said with a playful tone. This time, I followed protocol. He opened the door and allowed her inside. Their conversation continued, deeper this time. She spoke about her culture, about expectations placed on her as a warrior. He shared stories of Earth, of human mistakes, and lessons learned. Slowly, trust began forming between them. Hours passed unnoticed. At one point, she looked directly at him and said, You are calm, even when uncertain. That is rare. Uncertainty is normal. Pretending otherwise does not help. She nodded slowly, as if memorizing the thought. Suddenly, an alert sounded across the station. A low vibration felt through the floor. Emergency lights flashed briefly before returning to normal. Lyra activated her communicator, listening silently. Her expression grew serious. Unknown fleet detected, she said quietly. Elias felt a chill run through him. Outside the window, distant lights appeared against the darkness, faint but unmistakable. The station was no longer peaceful, and as he looked at Lyra, he realized that her bold arrival had not been random. She had come because she sensed change before others did. Now that change had arrived. The station's calm routine broke apart in minutes. Across Ardent Halo, alarms echoed in soft waves, so they would not panic species with sensitive hearing. Lights along the ceiling shifted to a warning pattern. Security drones floated out of hidden panels and took positions near the docking bays. Traders hurried to their ships. Diplomats called their aides. Some species released fear sense without realizing it, and the air scrubbers worked harder to keep the corridors breathable for everyone. Commander Elias Hale stood at his window, eyes locked on the distant lights. They were too far to see clearly, but the formation looked controlled, not a random swarm, not debris, a fleet. Captain Lyra was already moving, tapping commands into her wrist console. Her face had lost its playful edge. Now she looked like the officer the galaxy whispered about, sharp, focused, ready. "How many?" Elias asked. "Unknown," Lyra said. "Sensors read mass shadows, not clear hull shapes. They're holding at the edge of local space, just outside standard engagement range." Elias breathed slowly. "That's deliberate." "Yes," she agreed. "They want us to notice. They are announcing presence without firing. But," another alert chimed. A calm station voice followed in several languages. "Attention. All residents remain in assigned zones." Council representatives proceed to emergency chamber. Docking procedures paused, security response active. Lyra looked at Elias. "You're going." "So are you," he replied. They moved together through the corridor. The station felt like a living creature under stress. Doors opened faster than usual. Floor lights guided important personnel. On their way, they passed a group of civilian visitors. Small, round-bodied beings with long coats, huddled near a wall. One of them pointed at Elias, whispering. Humans drew attention even when they tried not to. Lyra noticed the looks. "They already blame your species," she said quietly. Elias did not deny it. Fear looks for a simple target. They reached a security gate leading to the council wing. Guards scanned them and allowed them through. Inside, the emergency chamber was filling quickly. Seats arranged in a wide circle held leaders from dozens of worlds. Some wore robes, some wore armor. Some appeared as floating holograms because their bodies could not survive the station's atmosphere. The council chair, a tall being with layered blue skin and eyes like polished stone, raised both hands. "Ardent Halo faces an unknown fleet," the chair announced. "We will remain calm and decide a response." A low rumble of voices rose immediately. Elias could feel the tension, like static in the air. An ambassador from the Trine Dominion leaned forward. "This is human influence," it said through a translator. "Since humans arrived, old borders have shaken. Our enemies grow bold. The Dominion blames humans for everything, because you fear losing control." A third shouted, "Enough! We should strike first, before they strike us." Elias stayed quiet, watching patterns, fear, pride, old rivalries waking up. The unknown fleet had not fired a single shot, yet the council was already tearing itself apart. Lyra stepped forward. Her presence silenced several voices. The Varathi were respected, sometimes too respected. People listened to them because they were strong. "My ships are positioned near the station's shield line," she said. "We can defend Ardent Halo, but we need data before action. If we fire blindly, we may create the war we fear." Some ambassadors murmured in agreement, others frowned. A small, insect-like representative clicked its mandibles. "Data is slow. Fear is fast. We must act now." Elias finally spoke. His voice was not loud, but it carried. "Acting without understanding is not courage," he said. "It's panic wearing armor." A few heads turned toward him. The Trine ambassador narrowed its eyes. Human words, human tricks. Elias met the stare calmly. If they wanted to destroy us, they would not wait outside range. They would hit our docks first. They would cut power. They would not announce themselves like a visitor at a door. The chair gestured. Commander Hale, what do you suggest? Open a channel, Elias said. Send a neutral greeting. Ask their intent. Meanwhile, prepare defenses quietly, without provocation. A diplomat from a wealthy trade alliance scoffed. And if they lie? Then we learn something, Elias replied. But we cannot learn if we shoot first. Lyra glanced at him, and for the briefest moment, the corner of her mouth lifted, not a smile. Something like respect. The council chair considered. We will attempt communication. A technician activated the station's deep space transmitter. Signals traveled across the void. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the speaker system crackled softly. A strange, layered tone filled the chamber, like several voices speaking at once, woven together.
Ardent Halo.
We request parley. We do not seek your station. We seek stability. The translator struggled, then produced clearer words. We are the Valen Passage Fleet. We bring warning. The room erupted again. A warning is a threat, someone shouted. Silence, the chair commanded, forcing order back into place. Valan Fleet, what warning? A layered voice returned. A fracture moves through nearby space, a wave of distortion. It will harm routes, disrupt systems, and scatter fleets. You are in its path. Elias felt the hairs on his arms rise. He had heard rumors of strange anomalies in far sectors, ships lost, signals twisted, but nothing confirmed. Why tell us? Elias asked. Because your station is a hub, the voice replied. If it falls into chaos, others will follow. The Trine ambassador leaned forward again. You claim a cosmic threat. Convenient. Perhaps you want us to open shields. The voice answered with cold patience. We do not request access, only cooperation. Lyra spoke. If you have proof, share it. A pause. Then the transmitter displayed a stream of data, sensor readings, gravitational shifts, and long-range scans. The images showed a faint ripple, like a scar running through starlight. Elias studied it closely. The patterns were consistent, too complex to fabricate quickly, and the direction pointed toward the station. The chair asked, How long? Less than 3 station days, the Valen voice said.
Ooh.
3 days. Elias ran the numbers in his mind. 3 days was nothing in space, and the council was still arguing about blame. The chair dismissed the meeting temporarily, ordering specialists to analyze the data. Ambassadors left in groups, whispering. Some looked shaken. Some looked angry. In the corridor outside, Lyra walked beside Elias at a steady pace. You believed them, she said. I believed the pattern, Elias replied. But belief is not enough. We need confirmation. Lyra's eyes shifted toward him. And what if the council refuses to cooperate? Elias exhaled. Then we find a smaller circle of people who will. They reached a secure operations room where station security and several allied officers gathered around a table. Screens displayed ship positions and projected paths of the approaching distortion. An older human officer, Lieutenant Rafik, nodded at Elias. Commander, this is real. The readings match what fringe explorers reported months ago, but nobody wanted to listen. Elias leaned over the table. What happens when it arrives? Rafik pointed at a simulation. Communications will flicker. Jump calculations will fail. Shields may destabilize. Some ships could collide if they panic. Lyra looked at the projection and spoke softly. A fear wave. Not just in minds, in physics. Allies turned to her. Your people have faced anomalies like this?
Not this one, she said. But we know how councils behave under stress.
They choose pride over survival. The station security chief, a thick-bodied being with plated shoulders, slammed a fist on the table. Then we lock down all bays and ride it out. That would trap thousands of visiting ships, Elias said, and it could trigger riots. We need order, not cages. Lyra crossed her arms. We need a plan that gives everyone a role.
Roles reduce fear. Exactly. We began assigning tasks.
First, create a joint coordination channel with all security forces, not just one species. Second, prepare safe anchoring zones for ships that could not jump away. Third, ask engineering teams to reinforce power routing so shields could adapt. And most important, communicate clearly to civilians without hiding the truth. Some officers hesitated. Many governments preferred secrecy. Elias knew secrecy would backfire. People fill silence with rumors, he said. Better to give them facts and instructions. Lyra supported him immediately. Humans understand crowd fear, she said, then added with a hint of irony, because you invented many forms of it. Elias almost smiled. We also invented many ways to calm it. As the plan formed, Elias noticed something else in the data. Several ships in the station's traffic log had changed course earlier than normal. Not just civilians, private diplomatic vessels. He asked Rafik, why did those 3 delegates depart 2 hours ago? The council had not even finished meeting. They requested clearance claiming urgent medical needs. Lyra leaned in. Which delegates? Rafik listed them. A minor Trine advisor, a weapons contractor from a neutral syndicate, and a courier ship registered to an embassy that had been loudest about striking first. Elias's attention sharpened. That's strange timing. Lyra's gaze turned colder. Someone is running ahead of the storm. Elias nodded slowly. Or someone knows more than they admit. That night, the station dimmed to its artificial dusk, but the corridors stayed busy. Drones floated past carrying supplies. Engineers moved in teams, checking shield nodes. The council issued a short statement that an anomaly was being studied. It was careful, vague, and not very helpful. Elias returned to his quarters to gather his thoughts. He expected to find silence. Instead, Lyra stood inside already, near the window, hands behind her back. This time, the door had recorded her entry. She had permission. You are becoming predictable, Elias said, setting his datapad down. And you are becoming less surprised, she replied. He walked closer, looking out at the stars. The distant lights of the unknown fleet still lingered, holding position like patient guardians or patient hunters. Lyra spoke without turning. My superior sent a message. They ordered me to limit contact with you. Elias's expression remained calm. Will you? She finally faced him. No. The word hung between them, heavy and honest. Why? Elias asked. Lyra hesitated, as if choosing language that would not betray too much. Because I have watched your kind. Humans do not wait for permission to do the right thing. You do not hide behind rank when lives are at risk. Elias exhaled slowly. Sometimes that gets us into trouble. Yes, she said, but it also changes outcomes. She stepped closer, not as boldly playful as before, but still direct. There is something else. My people intercepted a whisper in the council networks. Someone is spreading a story that the anomaly is a human-made trap. Elias's jaw tightened. Already. Lyra nodded. They want fear pointed at you so they can take control of the response. Elias thought of the early departures, the loud voices, the pattern of accusation. If they can make humans the enemy, they can force unity through hatred. You cannot fight that with anger. I know, Elias said. We fight it with results. The next morning brought new tension. Civilian areas buzzed with rumors. Some species began packing to leave. Others demanded the station open its weapons bays. A minor riot nearly started near the docking ring when a shipping crew tried to force early departure. Elias and Lyra moved through the crowd with security teams, speaking calmly. Elias used simple language and clear instructions. Lyra stood beside him like a steady wall. Together they helped redirect fear into action. Move to assigned safe zones, register ships for anchoring, follow emergency signals. Even so, accusations grew louder. During another emergency council session, the Trine ambassador stood and declared, "Humans invited this threat. They brought instability to our borders, and now they pretend to be saviors. We should place station command under the Dominion's authority." A wave of agreement rose from a few fearful allies. Elias stood, not angry, not loud. "If you want control, earn trust," he said. "And trust is earned by sharing truth. If you claim humans caused this, show evidence." The Triam ambassador hesitated. It had none. Lyra stepped forward too. "The Dominion seeks power, not safety," she said. "I will not support a takeover disguised as protection." The Varathi rarely opposed others so openly. The chair demanded order, but the council was fracturing. Elias understood then. The anomaly was only half the threat. The other half was politics. After the session, Rafik caught up with Elias in a side corridor. "Commander, we have a problem," he said quietly. One of the station's external sensor arrays just went offline, not from the anomaly, from an internal override. Lyra's eyes sharpened. Sabotage. Rafik nodded. Whoever did it knows systems. Elias felt a cold clarity settle in. Someone was trying to blind the station right before a dangerous space event. That was not fear. That was strategy. "We need to find who's doing this, fast." Lyra's voice was low. "And we need to do it quietly. If we accuse without proof, the council will explode." Elias agreed. "Then we start with the departures. Trace those ships, find what they carried, find what they knew." Lyra touched her wrist console. "I can access variety security channels. I will pull dock footage and identity scans." Elias nodded. "I'll speak to station engineering. If we can track the override signal, we can find the source." They split up, moving with purpose through the station's layered corridors. The atmosphere had changed from simple fear to something sharper, like a knife hidden under cloth. Hours later, they met again in a secure maintenance bay where few people passed. Screens around them displayed dock logs and system traces. Lyra pointed at a frame from security footage. A hooded figure stood near the sensor control panel, pretending to read a manifest while slipping a small device into the access port. "That device?" Elias said. "It's not standard." Lyra zoomed in. "It carries Dominion design patterns." Elias's eyes narrowed. So it wasn't just loud speeches. They planned this. They want the station blind so they can claim leadership when chaos hits. They want to be the only ones who prepared enough to survive. Elias felt anger flicker, but he forced it down. Anger would not help. Action would. Rafik entered, breath slightly rushed. "Commander, more bad news. A small attack craft just launched from a private bay. It's heading straight toward the unknown fleet." Elias's heart dropped. Someone is trying to start a war. Lyra's face hardened. "If that craft fires, the fleet may respond, and the council will blame humans or use it as excuse for takeover." Elias moved instantly. "Can we stop it?" "It's already out, but we can try to jam its weapons lock." Lyra was already sending orders. "Varathi interceptors. Launch now. Do not destroy. Disable." Elias turned to Rafik. "Open a channel to the unknown fleet."
"Tell them we are intercepting a rogue craft. Tell them not to respond."
Within minutes, the station's transmitter crackled again. carrying Elias's calm voice into the void. Valen Passage Fleet, this is Commander Elias Hale of Ardent Halo. A rogue craft has launched without Council approval. We are intercepting it.
Please hold fire.
The layered voice answered quickly.
We will hold our
On the main screen, the rogue craft streaked forward like a spark. 2 Varathi interceptors curved after it, fast and precise. They matched speed, then emitted a tight pulse that disrupted the craft's engines. The rogue ship tumbled, then stabilized, drifting powerless. Relief spread through the operations room. But it was thin relief, because the bigger truth was now clear. Someone inside Ardent Halo was trying to turn fear into war. Elias looked at Lyra, and for the first time he saw something like worry in her eyes. Not for herself, but for what the Council might do next. Lyra spoke softly. This is the beginning. When the anomaly arrives, they will try again. Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his chest. He had wanted a quiet life, a simple room, a place to think. Instead, the galaxy had placed a storm at his door and given him a bold ally who refused to leave. He straightened his shoulders. Then we stay ahead of them, he said. We protect the station, we expose the sabotage, and we keep people focused on survival. Lyra's expression steadied. Good. Because the next 72 hours will decide who the galaxy becomes. Outside the window, the distant fleet still waited, and beyond it, the ripple in space moved closer, silent, unstoppable, and indifferent to politics. But Elias knew something else now, too. The real power of humanity was not weapons or ships. It was the stubborn refusal to give up on each other, even when the universe seemed designed to pull everyone apart. And that refusal was about to be tested. The station did not sleep anymore. Even during its artificial night cycle, Ardent Halo remained bright with movement and tension. Engineers worked around power nodes. Security teams patrolled corridors that were usually quiet. Diplomats argued in private rooms, and civilians gathered in clusters, speaking in worried tones. Commander Elias Hale stood inside the Central Operations Hub, watching multiple screens at once. The rogue craft had been secured and pulled back toward the station, but the political damage was already spreading. Rumors moved faster than facts. Some claimed the unknown fleet had nearly attacked. Others said the Varathi planned to seize control. A few voices whispered that humans were secretly working with the mysterious fleet. Captain Lyra entered the room without ceremony. Her uniform showed signs of long hours. Creased edges, small scratches near her shoulder plates, but her posture remained strong. The pilot of the rogue craft is in custody, she said. Not a soldier, a hired operative. Did he talk? He tried not to, she replied, but fear changes priorities. He was paid through layered accounts linked to a Dominion trade proxy. Elias nodded slowly, so they wanted escalation. Yes, a small attack could provoke retaliation. Retaliation creates fear. Fear creates leadership opportunities. Elias exhaled. Power through chaos. Lyra studied him for a moment. Your species understands this pattern very well. We learned it the hard way, he said quietly. Another officer approached, handing Elias a tablet filled with updated readings. The anomaly was closer now. The ripple in space looked like a faint wave bending stars behind it. Ships near the outer edge reported navigation glitches and temporary communication delays.
How long? Elias asked.
Less than 48 hours, the officer said. Elias nodded. Then we accelerate preparations. Lyra stepped closer, lowering her voice. The council is fracturing. Some want to place military authority under Dominion command immediately. That would divide the station even more, Elias said. Yes, she agreed, which is why they want it. Elias considered for a moment. We need allies. Not just individuals, entire groups willing to cooperate openly. Humans build alliances quickly. How? By giving people a shared goal bigger than their fear, Elias replied. She watched him carefully, as if analyzing not just his words, but the way he thought. They moved together toward the civilian sectors. Elias believed leadership meant being seen, not hiding behind screens. As they walked, he noticed signs of strain everywhere. Shops closed early. Children stayed close to guardians. Even species known for calm behavior showed signs of stress. Near a large observation window, a group of workers argued loudly. One of them pointed toward Elias. "This is happening because of you," the worker said, voice shaking. "Humans bring change and now danger follows." Several others looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Elias stopped and faced them calmly. "Fear makes us look for simple answers," he said. "But the anomaly is older than human contact. We did not create it." "Then why does it happen now?" the worker demanded. "Because the universe moves whether we are ready or not," Elias said gently. "What matters is how we respond." The tension slowly faded as security officers approached, not to punish, but to guide the group away calmly. Lyra watched the exchange closely. "You did not defend yourself with anger," she said as they continued walking. "Anger turns listeners into enemies," he replied. Lyra nodded slowly, as if storing another lesson. Later, inside a secure briefing chamber, representatives from several smaller species gathered around a circular table. They had agreed to meet with Elias privately, seeking clarity beyond the chaotic council debates. One of them spoke first. "Commander, we trust your judgment. What should we do?" Elias projected a simulation of the anomaly's path. "The wave will disrupt navigation and power systems. Panic will cause more damage than the event itself. We must coordinate ship movements carefully. No sudden jumps. No independent military actions." A tall, crystalline being flickered with light. "And the Dominion?" "They will try to claim control," Lyra said before Elias could respond. "But unity will prevent that." The group exchanged looks. Trust was fragile, but they wanted direction. Elias continued, "We create a coalition task group, representatives from multiple species working together openly. Transparency builds confidence." One by one, they agreed. As the meeting ended, Lyra pulled Elias aside. "You are building a network beneath the council." "I'm building cooperation," he said simply. She almost smiled. Hours later, new information arrived. Engineering teams traced the sabotage device used on the sensor array. Its signal signature matched equipment recently delivered through a Dominion-linked cargo shipment. Elias felt the pieces connecting. They planned this days ago. If we expose them publicly without strong evidence, they will deny everything and accuse you of manipulation. Then we gather more proof, Elias said. They reviewed docking records and discovered something unexpected. The courier ship that left early carried encrypted data cores removed from a restricted archive. The archive contained records about ancient cosmic phenomena. "They knew about the anomaly," Elias said quietly. Lyra's eyes sharpened. "And they hid it. Why? Because a crisis they control is more valuable than one they prevent?" he answered. Lyra looked at him carefully. "You think they wanted the anomaly to create fear? Then step in as saviors." But they didn't expect outside witnesses. The Valen fleet. Lyra exhaled slowly. "Then we need to retrieve those data cores." Before they could act further, another message arrived from the Valen fleet. This time it included detailed projections of the anomaly's effects. The data showed not only disruption, but also potential opportunity. Certain energy frequencies within the wave could be redirected, stabilizing shields if calibrated correctly. Elias studied the information carefully. "They're offering solutions," Lyra nodded. But the council may reject it simply because it comes from outsiders. Then we present it as joint research, Elias said. Not theirs, not ours. Shared. Lyra gave him a long look. You understand politics better than most warriors. I understand people, he replied. They returned to the council chamber for another heated session. Voices rose immediately as reports of sabotage spread. The Dominion ambassador stood tall, projecting authority. This is the result of weak leadership, it declared. We must centralize control before chaos destroys us. Elias stepped forward calmly. Centralized control without trust becomes tyranny. Gasps filled the room. Direct challenges were rare. The ambassador glared. Humans speak of freedom but create disorder. Lyra stepped beside Elias. Your accusations lack proof. Evidence now links your own supply chains to sabotage devices. The room fell silent. The ambassador hesitated, then laughed coldly. Baseless claims. Elias activated a projection showing docking records, equipment signatures, and the rogue pilot's testimony. It was not enough to condemn fully, but enough to create doubt. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The council chair raised a hand. Investigation will proceed. Until then, all military decisions require shared approval. The Dominion ambassador's expression tightened. Its plan had been slowed. After the session, Elias felt exhaustion pressing against him. Leadership drained energy, especially when every word mattered. Lyra walked beside him silently until they reached a quiet corridor. You risked much, she said. Now. So did you, he replied. She looked at him for a long moment. My people will not forgive open opposition easily. And yet you continue, he said. Her gaze softened slightly. Because I believe you are right. They reached his quarters again. This time she did not ask before entering. She moved directly to the window, watching the distant stars. The anomaly is closer, she said quietly. Yes. Silence stretched between them, not uncomfortable but heavy with shared responsibility. Finally she spoke again. My culture teaches that strength is shown through dominance. You show strength through patience. It confuses me. Elias leaned against the wall. Strength is choosing the future you want, even when the easier path is different? She turned toward him. And what future do you want?
One where species survive long enough to learn from each other, he said.
Lyra studied him carefully, then nodded. An alert sounded suddenly. A new transmission arrived, not from the Valen fleet, not from the council, but from an unknown internal source. Elias opened it quickly. A distorted voice spoke. You are close to the truth. Stop now or the station will burn. Lyra's eyes narrowed. A threat. Elias felt calm settle over him instead of fear. No, he said quietly. A sign that we are moving in the right direction. Outside the window, the ripple in space grew brighter, bending starlight like water around glass. Ships repositioned slowly, following new coordination orders. The next phase had begun. Elias looked at Lyra, understanding that the coming hours would test everything they had built so far. Then we continue, she said. Yes, he replied. Because stopping was no longer an option. The station felt like it was holding its breath. Ardent Halo had always been a place of movement and conversation. But now every sound carried weight. Ships adjusted their positions slowly around the outer rings. Lights flashed across the hull as engineers rerouted power through reinforced circuits. Inside, voices were quieter, more focused, as if everyone understood that the next few hours would decide everything. Commander Elias Hale stood at the central command platform, watching the anomaly grow larger on the main display. The ripple looked almost beautiful from a distance, a shimmering distortion bending starlight into curved lines. But the data beside it told another story. energy fluctuations, communication delays, navigation, instability. If the station was not ready, chaos would follow. Captain Lyra stood beside him, her posture straight and calm, though Elias could see tension in the way her hands rested behind her back. "The wave will reach outer sensor range in 2 hours," she said. Elias nodded, slowly. "Then we begin final coordination." Across the command hall, representatives from multiple species worked side by side. This alone felt like a victory. Only days ago, many of them refused to cooperate. Now they shared data channels and combined fleets, not because old rivalries had vanished, but because necessity forced unity. A message appeared on Elias's console. It was from Lieutenant Rafik.
"Engineering teams report shield calibration complete," Rafik said over the channel, "using the energy pattern provided by the Valon fleet."
If their calculations are correct, shields should absorb part of the wave instead of fighting it. Trusting outsiders has become easier for this station.
"Trust grows when people see results," Elias replied.
Another alert sounded. The council chair requested an immediate address to all residents. Elias stepped forward to a broadcast terminal. Cameras activated, projecting his image across every sector of the station. He spoke calmly, choosing simple words. "Residents of Ardent Halo, the anomaly is approaching. Our teams have prepared defenses and safe procedures. Remain in assigned zones. Follow guidance from station crews."
"This is not a battle. It is a challenge we will face together." He paused briefly.
"We are stronger when we cooperate. Every species here brings knowledge and courage. Together, we will endure." The message ended. Silence filled the command hall for a moment before activity resumed. Lyra watched him thoughtfully. "You speak to civilians like a teacher," she said.
"I speak to them like equals," he answered.
She nodded slowly. Outside, the first edge of the anomaly touched sensor range. Lights flickered briefly across the station as power systems adjusted automatically. The ripple appeared larger now, like a slow-moving wall of shifting energy. "Communications lag increasing," an officer reported. "External signals delayed by 2 seconds." Elias moved closer to the main display. "Begin shield harmonization." A faint glow spread along the outer hull, shimmering in sync with the anomaly's frequency. Instead of resisting directly, the shields adapted, flowing with the wave's rhythm. Lyra spoke quietly. "Your solution is unusual." "Not mine alone," Elias said. "Shared knowledge." Minutes passed slowly. The ripple grew brighter. Suddenly another alert sounded. Rafik's voice came through, tight with urgency. "Commander, unauthorized system access detected near power distribution grid." Lyra's eyes sharpened. "Sabotage again." "Location?" "Lower engineering deck," Rafik said. Lyra turned immediately. "I will handle it." Elias followed. "We go together." They moved quickly through corridors, passing engineers and security teams rushing to reinforce key systems. The closer they came to engineering, the more tense the atmosphere felt. Inside the lower deck, emergency lights flashed red. A panel hung open, wires exposed. A cloaked figure worked rapidly near the control console. "Step away," Lyra commanded. The figure turned suddenly, activating a small device. A pulse of static disrupted nearby systems, but Lyra moved faster, disarming the device with precise motion. Security officers rushed in seconds later, restraining the saboteur. Elias recognized the uniform beneath the cloak. Dominion insignia. Lyra's expression hardened. "Another attempt to create chaos." The saboteur laughed weakly. "You cannot stop what comes."
"Fear will make people choose strength." Elias knelt slightly, meeting the figure's eyes.
"Strength without trust breaks faster than glass. The saboteur said nothing more. They secured the area quickly, restoring control. As they returned to command, the anomaly's leading edge reached the station fully. The world outside turned strange. Stars stretched into thin lines. Space seemed to ripple like water. Ships near the outer rings shook gently as energy currents passed through them. "Shield integrity holding," Rafik reported. "Energy absorption working," Elias exhaled slowly. But the real test had just begun. Inside the council chamber, several ambassadors argued again, frightened by the visual distortion. "We must abandon the station," one shouted.
"Jump drives will fail during the wave,"
another replied. Lyra stepped forward, voice firm. Running now would scatter fleets and cause collisions. Stay with the plan. The Dominion ambassador, looking cornered after the sabotage discovery, spoke coldly. "This chaos proves centralized command is needed."
"Centralized command failed when sabotage began. Cooperation saved us."
The room fell quiet. Even those who disliked him could not deny the truth. The anomaly intensified. Lights flickered again. Some communication screens went dark temporarily, then returned. A small civilian ship drifted dangerously near the shield boundary, its engines malfunctioning. "Commander, they're losing control," an officer said. Elias reacted instantly.
"Dispatch guidance drones." "Use manual signal beacons," Lyra added. "Varathi interceptors assisting."
Together they guided the drifting vessel back into safe formation. Cheers erupted softly across the control room when it stabilized. Time moved strangely during the wave. Minutes felt like hours. Everyone focused completely on their tasks. Gradually, the ripple began to pass beyond the station. Distortion lessened. Stars returned to normal shape. Communication delays faded. "Shield energy stabilizing," Rafik reported, voice filled with relief.
We held.
Elias allowed himself a small breath of satisfaction. But before anyone could relax fully, a new transmission arrived from the Valen fleet.
"The main body of the anomaly has passed," the layered voice said.
"You succeeded."
Your plan worked. Our plan?
He corrected gently. Across the station, celebrations began quietly, not loud parties, more like collective relief. Civilians emerged from safe zones. Crew members embraced. Diplomats who once argued shook hands awkwardly. The council chair addressed the assembly again. Ardent Halo survived because cooperation replaced division. Humanity and their allies demonstrated leadership through unity. Let this moment reshape our future. Some ambassadors looked uncomfortable, but many nodded in agreement. The Dominion representative remained silent, its influence weakened by exposed sabotage. Later, Elias finally returned to his quarters. Exhaustion settled into his body, but so did calm. The room looked exactly as it had before. The simple desk, the small spacecraft model, the quiet window showing distant stars. He removed his jacket and sat down slowly. The door opened. He did not look surprised this time. Captain Lyra walked in, bold as ever. She grinned slightly and took a seat close to him, just like the first night. "The station survives," she said.
"Yes," he replied.
She leaned back, studying him. "Your people are strange. You change enemies into allies."
"We try,"
he said. Silence settled between them, comfortable and warm. "My superior sent another message," she said finally. "They are reconsidering their views about humans." "That sounds like progress." "It is more than that," she said.
"They believe humanity may help reshape galactic leadership." Elias shook his head lightly.
"Humanity doesn't want to rule, I know," she said softly. "That is why others may follow you." He smiled faintly. She watched him for a moment longer, then spoke again. Quieter now.
When I first entered this room, I came because I was curious, she said. Now I come because I trust.
The journey through crisis had changed both of them. Outside the window, ships moved calmly again. The galaxy felt different. Not safer, perhaps, but wiser. Humanity had not saved the station through force or dominance, but through connection. Through patience. Through the belief that cooperation could overcome fear. Lyra rose slowly, then paused near the door. "Rest," she said.
"You have earned it." "And you?" he asked. She smiled slightly.
"I will return, protocol or not." After she left, Elias leaned back in his chair, watching the stars. The storm had passed, but something new had begun. A future where humans were no longer just newcomers, but bridges between worlds. And he knew that this was only the first chapter of many stories yet to come among the stars.